Hello guys, Conduit Gaming here with another review for the new indie horror management game Ravenous Devils. It's pretty fun and fresh, although I hate to use the word fresh because it makes me feel fruity, but it does have a really unique story, like unique gameplay loop, unique setting. It's just a really interesting game and niche. It's pretty short, about 5 hours, but well worth the $5 the developers are charging for it. So if you want to go in blind, here's kind of like a spoiler free review. You play as a couple fleeing from a city, and then you open up a tailor and pub. In the tailor shop, you kill people and send them down to a trap door to your wife in the basement, and then she chops up the people and serves their meat to food and customers. So it's set in like a Sweeney Todd dystopian kind of London where crime and killing are rampant. So, as I mentioned, it's a really unique setting. The core gameplay loop is really engaging. As I mentioned, the game's pretty short, only about 5 hours long. So you don't really get bored of it the entire time playing. So, if that sounds interesting to you, buy the game. They have a demo out. I just say go out and try it if that sounds interesting at all. And then, maybe come back and finish the bid. But, that's up to you. So now let's get into the meat of the game. I'll start with the setting. It's set in a really dystopian Victorian London, which, super cool and unique. I really think that this kind of settles into the serial killer indie games, which is a pretty kind of tiny subgenre. I really wouldn't put it in the same thing as Hatred or anything like that. But there's not a lot of games like this, and this is definitely the only game set in a Sweeney Todd London, which I guess is the best description, just due to the fact where it's you kill people and then send them down into the basement, like Sweeney Todd does. It's just I don't know. I've just never played a game set in anything like this. The graphics help the setting a lot. Like when you click on things, blood splatters. The setting is appropriately gory. When you kill people, you see them get stabbed to death and bleed out. And when you put them in the meat grinder, it has a real gross sound, and you can see them come out of the grinder as meat. It really makes the game feel appropriately dark. It's not really holding back punches. You actually see them kill people and everything. So it definitely is a bit of a horror game. So if you're not comfortable with that type of stuff, wouldn't recommend it. The gameplay, it really shines. So as I mentioned, up in the tailor shop, when you measure people in the back, you kill them. But then you steal their clothes and then you throw them down the trap door to the basement. You then take the clothes you steal off of the person you just killed, and they need to be retailored and put out in the tailor shop to resell. And then once the body's in the basement, you have your wife collect the body and turn it into meat and make recipes to serve into the pub. So it sounds like a pretty simple gameplay loop. The challenge is really managing the husband and the wife, because you have to manage both simultaneously, especially as you upgrade both buildings, allowing more clothes to be sold and more people to be fed in the pub. So you constantly have to switch between the upstairs and the downstairs, and making sure that the husband's always killing people and sending them down and retailoring, and that the wife is always cooking. And then especially as you upgrade your ovens, because you start off with one oven, but then by the end you have three. So definitely the game just gets busier and busier and busier. It definitely adds to the challenge and keeps you engaged, especially for the whole 5 hours. Something that I think can make the gameplay loop a bit better is if you're able to queue actions. I don't like how you kind of have to escort, handhold the characters through each action. It gets a bit tedious just because it's every single time you kill somebody, you have to press on the mop to clean up after them. And after a while, it's I wish I could just click it as I'm killing the person and then just queue it up. It gets a little bit annoying to have to repeat the same action over and over again. But it adds to the game. It makes the game a bit harder, so I don't blame them for not adding a queuing thing. But I think it would have been nice. The story, I don't want to get into it too much just because that's kind of the reason you buy the game. It's a real short game, so I won't spoil it. I don't think it's crazy or off the walls or it's not like some Witcher 3 material. But it's more than serviceable. It keeps your attention. I like the characters. So overall, I'd really recommend this game. It's short. It costs about as much as a coffee at Starbucks. I think creativity like this in the indie space should be rewarded. I think really unique games like this are really able to shine when they take a unique setting like this and, set a game in it, that really helps them stand out. And I think, it's a good game. I would definitely recommend it. That's all I have to say. This has been Conduit. Like, subscribe. I'll see ya.